days or weeks, it will be a real fight. It'll be against a world champion contender.
When Anthony Joshua first told you that his main trainer now would be Andrew Fernandez, was you shocked after seeing him in the States with the likes of Virgil Hunter and Eddie Ramos?
I think there's going to be additions to the team. You know, he likes Angel, and Angel's a very good trainer. They're working really well together up in Loughborough. I do expect some additional members to the team, whether it's from an observing, capacity or a mentor capacity. It's always good to get great minds in the camp, but he feels very comfortable with Angel, and they're working really well together.
And last one from me, Eddie. What do you make of the British Boxing Board of Control downgrading the economist after his scorecards for Catherine Taylor?
Well, you never want to see anybody kind of like almost publicly shamed, if you like. But the board had to do something, they had to act, and they have done. And I think that's important because there has to be a consequence for poor scorecards. And we've seen that. The only thing is, if you're doing that, what you're accepting is that the scorecard was wrong. And if the scorecard was wrong, then what do you do from there?
So should they overtake the decision?
I don't think it was that kind of fight, to be honest with you. I think that we've got Miguel Vasquez up here. I mean, that for me was a much worse decision against Lewis Ritson than Catterall against Josh Taylor. But no one felt like, everyone felt a certain way about the scorecards. So therefore, how can everyone be wrong? But I say it wasn't a close fight, but it was close enough. Like Miguel Vasquez against Ritson, I thought it was like 9-3, if that 10-2, and Ritson won by six rounds, I think, on one judge's scorecard. So it's just good to see activity and reaction to what was a bad scorecard.
Julie here for seconds. Eddie, we haven't seen you since you got the Canelo deal. How delighted are you with it?
Yeah, everyone keeps taking the mickey out of me about our bromance and our cuddling, and I'm going to continue to cuddle him because he's the biggest star in the sport, and he's got a very infectious energy and passion about boxing, and it's massive for us as a business. The two biggest stars in the sport are Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua, and we represent both of them. And to represent the biggest star in American boxing is very big for our American business. So looking forward to the upcoming fight with Bivol and Golovkin, hopefully, if everyone wins, and then maybe even a fight in December as well.
People will often say you're salty about not getting the Fury White fight, but with that in mind, how much credit do you think you've actually gotten for landing this deal with Canelo?
I don't think anyone's really going to give me a lot of credit. I'm not here to get credit. I'm here to make money. I'm here to put on great shows. I'm here to provide opportunity for our fighters, and we're the best at what we do. So I'd say something salty about Fury against Wyatt. Obviously, I would love to be promoting that show, but I'm not, and we get on with our business, and our business is global. We're the only true global boxing promotional company, staging huge fights with huge talent, and Canelo Alvarez doesn't get any bigger.
You just said AJ and Canelo, two biggest stars. Where would you rank Fury amongst the biggest stars?
3, I would say. I think you've seen from the draw with the tickets. He doesn't hit pay-per-view numbers like AJ, but he's a huge star. But you can't talk about globally. AJ has built a brand over almost a decade, and he's a huge global star. And Canelo Alvarez's value globally continues to rise, and hopefully we can see him box around the world.
Conor Benn, April 16th, Van Heerden. There's been a little bit of stick. What do you make of that? Obviously, considering there was talks about fighting the likes of Broner and not my man as well.
Who's your man? Kelbrook?
Hooker.
Oh, Hooker.
Sorry.
Hooker accepted the fight. We'd done the deal with Hooker, and then he pulled out a week later with a back injury. So Van Heerden's a good fight for Conor Benn. He's a southpaw. He's not fought a competitive southpaw, I think, his whole career. And let's just get one thing straight. 18 months ago, yes, but Van Heerden's last fight was against Boots Ennis, headlining on Showtime. And 18 months ago, it was okay for Boots Ennis, but it's not okay for Conor Benn. So I think this is a real fight. Van Heerden will come to fight. He's extremely competitive. He's strong. But I think you're going to see, I believe, one of the biggest stars in British boxing in Conor Benn. And again, he had 7,000 in Liverpool. You're going to see another big crowd in Manchester. This kid's a star. We wanted Kell Brook. We tried to make those fights. But this is the final chapter, the final hurdle for Conor Benn before he jumps in with all those names, because he's ready after this win to go forward and try and get himself very, very close to challenging for the world title.
And last of all, obviously it's a 50-50 fight in my opinion this weekend. How does each fighter win?
I think, people talk about Conlan on points or Leigh Wood via stoppage. But I think both guys can do either, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be an explosive fight because Leigh Wood is a very big puncher, but also at the same time, Conlan can throw aggressively with great combinations as well. And I think the atmosphere is going to be so good inside this arena. It's going to be like a bear pit. And I think there's going to be drama. I think either guy can win. I think it's a 50-50 fight, but obviously I'm backing Leigh Wood to do the business. Thank you.
This is Steve from Boxing UK in association with Supreme CBD, Eddie Hearn. We'll throw some quick fire ones at you, Eddie. First of all, thanks for the shout out the other day.
No worries, you've got people working for you now. You know?
Eddie, AJ versus Joe Joyce, discuss.
Yeah, I mean, look, AJ was kind of laughing last night. He thinks it's funny that, you know, someone shouted out that AJ won't fight Otto Wilding because he's awkward, and he's like, I've boxed him twice in the amateurs, beat him easy. You know, he won't fight Joe Joyce. He's like, I stopped him in a round in the amateurs. Won't fight Wilder. He wants the Wilder fight. You know, Luis Ortiz, we've made a dozen offers to Luis Ortiz in the past. So he's up for fighting all those guys. I don't mind saying an interim bout for me should look a lot easier than the people AJ wants to fight. But he wants to fight big fights. He wants to fight great opponents. So Joe Joyce could be one. You know, he was on AJ's list. How easy that fight would be to make, we don't know. But certainly AJ would have no problem fighting any of those guys.
Ian John Lewis has been demoted. Can you persuade viewers why the Boxing Board of Control judges aren't corrupt? Because that's what gets thrown at them all the time.
I mean, it's very difficult for me to stand there and sort of say, you know, but quite frankly, like, it's ridiculous to even suggest such a thing. These are good boxing people that have been around a long, long time. They've got a tough job. But, you know, there's absolutely no chance. I've been working in boxing, well, I've been around boxing for 35 years. But I've been working in boxing for 12 years. I've never, ever seen any level of corruption at all in the sport. But, of course, people who don't know the sport inside out, that's something that will cross their mind. So, whether you believe me or not, it's important for the board to make those decisions and to make sure that they act when there's a poor scorecard. And there was a poor scorecard. I mean, you've got a young man here this weekend, Miguel Vasquez, fighting Gary Cully. That was probably one of the worst cards I've ever seen. I mean, that was a lot worse than Catchell, but some of them are different levels of profile. But good to see the board reacting.
Yeah, I've had the pull on the t-shirt, Eddie, okay. So last one, sell us this weekend.
It's a brilliant fight. You know, you've got the kid from Nottingham, you know, who's been there, seen it, done it, 4 rounders, boxing for no money, getting beat, getting an opportunity to headline in front of 10,000. Michael Conlan, you know, it's his time, his opportunity to become a star if he's good enough. 50-50 fight, unbelievable atmosphere. It's going to be a great night.
Thanks, Eddie.
Ed, how's it going? Sam Lowe, for IrishBoxing.com. Ed, one of your most Irish heavy shows in a long time, if not maybe ever. Talk to me about, first of all, I just want to go quickly through the Irish fighters. A massive, we'll start with Gary Cully and Miguel.
Is that
Vasquez.
your camera?
Massive.
It's a bit over there, isn't it? Go on. Yeah, look, I'll do the job for you. You go through, I mean, Gary Cully, a lot of people are talking about Gary Cully as a kid that could go on and win the world lightweight title. You know, so we'll have to see how good he is because he's got a very tough fight against Vasquez. Thomas Carty's actually got a very tough fight on Saturday against Burrows. Trust me, I just actually got a message to say Burrows is coming to win from his guy. So they're right up for it. And of course, you've got Kevin Ajarko, who could well be the next big star coming out of Belfast as well, and Michael Conlan. So when you've got 3,000 Irish coming, you've got to put on some Irish fighters. So I think we've done a good job for him.
In light of what happened in the fight with Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, do you have any concerns about the judging or how this fight's going to be?
I actually think that when that happens, you're in a better position for people. For people, you know, all the eyes are going to be on the scorecards. So, and there's no, people talk about corruption, all total bollocks. Sometimes it's incompetence. But there'll be more focus than ever on this judging panel. And not everyone will agree with the cards, by the way, because we just don't do it. But I think now's actually a time where you're more likely to see someone get it right. And I actually don't think this fight will go the distance.
Who wins this fight?
I think both guys can end this fight. I think Leigh Wood, you know, has the power to take Michael Conlan out. And Michael Conlan has the power. People talk about puncher versus boxer. Conlan can throw, you know, he can punch. He has blistering combinations as well. I think this is going to end in a spectacular knockout.